Hello everybody, Kerry Shuck here alongside Carter Baum. Now Carter, 2 games in a row, the Barons lose here on home ice to the Griffins.
Yeah, a rough weekend for the Barons coming back on home ice, a place they had been dominant for almost 2 months here. But Grand Rapids are a very good team. They only have a handful of losses all season long, best team in the Western Conference, and it showed out there. Tonight was a lot better from the Barons standpoint. They looked a lot better. The energy was out there. They came out hitting to start the game, got their tempo really high, but sometimes a good team is just too much, and we've seen that with the Barons the last couple months, facing a lot of teams here, and we saw it flipped the other way around with Grand Rapids this weekend.
Now, seeing them on the ice early in the day on Friday, it seemed like the team was very loose, very, very happy. It wasn't a arrogance, but they've had a confidence because they've been on such a tear, and you saw it here tonight, but they just, like you said, they just could not get past this Grand Rapids team.
Yeah, we have seen that in the last almost 2 weeks or so, though. That confidence, like you mentioned, lots of talking going on the ice during practices, lots of cheers after each goal scored, over dramatic celebrations. They're having fun out there, and that happens when you're a winning team, when you haven't lost, especially on home ice, in such a long time. But it's amazing how quickly that goes away, and like you mentioned, it wasn't a overconfidence. It was just you're a hot team. That's what happens. You're feeling good. That's all it is. But it caught up to them. They've played their 9th game in 16 days here tonight. That's a whole lot, and especially last weekend they had a whole lot of travel. They traveled to 3 different cities in 5 days, playing 3 games. And I think that caught up to them. You could tell the fatigue was kind of creeping in, both last night and tonight, and they didn't have it.
Well, the one thing they has had the whole time is great power play, and last night didn't have it. Tonight they had it. They had it well again tonight, scoring 3 goals, but the penalty kill off.
Yeah, the Barons went 3 for 10 on the power play, statistically 30%, which is what they've been since Arcobello has come back from Edmonton. But they give up 2 goals with down a man. Grand Rapids got 2 power play goals, and it was another case of a really good team coming in. The penalty kill does need some improvement. They haven't always been perfect like the power play has in recent weeks, but it was good to see the power play rebound from last night, and an off night, a rare off night, but they got back on it tonight and got 3 goals.
Now, we've talked about the power play in extensive over the last couple of weeks. The absence of Lander, is that why it's not clicking as it has been? I mean, they've scored 3 tonight, but it doesn't look like it has as easily it has over the last few weeks.
They have had to change up their strategy a little bit with Lander gone. He is a playmaker out on the ice. When you have 2 talents like Arcobello and Lander on the ice on a power play, it's kind of hard for a team that's shorthanded to decide who they're going to look at, who they're going to cover. You are a man down, the talents just spread out so much. They do have to change it up a little bit with Pitlick filling in for Lander while he's gone, but I don't think it was so much that. I think it was, like we talked about, the fatigue just kind of creeping in, all around it. We saw last night, it just wasn't there. They got 3 power play goals tonight. All 3 of their goals came on the power play, but they were changing up. It wasn't something that we've seen before. It was all 3 were different variations of some of the plays we've seen on the power play in the past couple weeks.
One man who is not fatigued is Brad Hunt. I mean, that guy, he's delivering hits and he's scoring goals, and he is closing in on Justin Schultz for the most points for a defenseman. Yeah,
in a season for the Barons, he's on fire recently. He's got an elephant gun of a shot from the point, especially on the power play. He gets that one-timer, and we saw it again tonight. Just fires it on net. There's nothing stopping it. Anyone who gets in front of that is probably going to get a pretty good welt on their body afterwards. He's on fire, and he's playing very well. And even though 2, I wouldn't say bad games for the Barons, but off games for the Barons this weekend, Brad Hunt still puts up points in both and continues his hot streak.
Well, now they'll head to Texas to take on the Stars, but like you said, they're going to get a little bit of a rest after playing the 9 games in 16 days.
Yeah, they're going to get probably at least 2 days off here this week, which is much needed for this team. I mean, they're exhausted, the travel, all the games, it really catches up to you. They're going to get some good sleep tonight, and hopefully it they'll turn it around. Texas, second best team in the Western Conference. They'll go on the road next weekend. 2 games you can't take lightly either. They have to go down there. They have to play well, and they have to play even better because of how they played here this weekend. Go 0 for 2 on the weekend in the middle of a playoff hunt. You got to turn it around, and you got to make up for it the following weekend. So it'll be a good road trip next weekend, but some much needed rest here in the next couple days.
Especially going from playing now the number 1 team in the Western Conference to the number 2. So Texas Stars are pretty good offensively. Well, the next time they'll be here on home ice, they'll be taking on the San Antonio Rampage. That's a winning weekday.
Yeah, winning weekday. If the Barons win, all the fans in attendance will get a voucher to come out to another weekday game. So a good deal for all the fans.
Well, hopefully they'll get back on the winning track when they head to Texas. Thank you, Carter, for joining me again for Postgame.
Thank you.
All right. For Carter Baum, I'm Kerry Shuck, Barons TV.